Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the iFit Model podcast. I am your host, Aaron Zambrano of iFit Model. Now, I'd like to welcome you back to this series of overcoming failure. I'm going to take you through 4 phases of overcoming failure and really mastering the process of becoming successful. Now, today is the second episode in this phase, and it's called Plan of Action. Now, I'm not going to give you the plan that you need to follow, but what I want to do is I want to make sure you don't fall into the same pitfalls that you fell into before. Now, how do you know you're following the right plan? That's what we're going to talk about today, so let's start the show. Plan of action. That's what this is all about today. Now, like I said, I don't want to give you a plan to follow because that's just too easy. That's just too easy to do. But instead, what I actually want to do is I want to educate you, and I want you to make the choice of which plan is right for you to follow. Now, let's just walk through the normal steps of when people sign up for a program, okay? A lot of times what happens is you go onto a website or you see an ad or you see a picture of somebody and you're attracted to it. And so you go onto that website and it sounds great and you sign up. And that's how most people sign up for programs, whether it's an online program or whether you're working with a trainer at a gym. You walk into a gym and you meet with somebody and they tell you that their program is going to help you see results, and then you sign up. So a lot of people, just the first plan that they hear, they sign up for it. And that's the normal process. Now, what I want to do is I want to change the way that you approach finding the right plan for you. Now, I'm going to start off this entire thing with asking you a question, okay? How many times have you actually started a plan and then failed or quit? Chances are if you're in your 30s, you probably have done it at least 5 times. If you're in your 40s, you've done it at least 10 times. Everybody has started a program, whether it's fitness related, whether it's school, or whether it's anything, learning how to be a better husband or a better girlfriend or whatever it is. We've all started a program. Maybe we try to learn Spanish and we just didn't go through the course. But how many times have we actually tried to start a plan and quit? Probably at least 5 times in your life. So how did you know that plan wasn't the right plan for you? Well, chances are you probably wasted your time following that plan, or at least trying to, and then realizing wow, after 3 months, this plan is not very good and it doesn't fit me very well. Well, you just lost 3 months of your time. There's so many people out there that waste not just 3 months, but 6 months, 9 months, a year of their time, not necessarily following a plan, because they'll follow a plan for about 3 months, but staying off that plan for another 6 to 9 months because they feel like such a failure. So do you really have to waste all that time going through the plan in order for you to know if it's successful or not, or whether you know if it's a good plan or not? Absolutely not. And that's what I want to talk about in this first step. I'm going to take you through 2 steps, how you can identify the right plan of action for you. And that's what we're going to go into right now. So let's go into the first step of making sure that you're going to be on the right plan of action. Now, this first step is something that a lot of people don't take. Again, what people do is they see something online, or they hear a trainer talk to them, or they hear somebody speak to them, and they sign up for the first thing because you're so desperate. You're so desperate to find that plan that really works because you've struggled for so many years, or you know that you've started and quit. You've started and quit, and you've done that year after year. So you're so desperate to find something that really works that you'll jump on the first thing that's there. But chances are you probably failed at that program too. Now, let's start off with what the first step is. And the first step is educate yourself. Educate yourself on what a good program should offer. Any good program should offer these particular things. Now, all these things that I'm going to talk about are essential for any exercise or nutrition program to have. If they don't have these things in the program, you better think twice before joining that plan. So what are these things? What makes up a good exercise plan? So you've got to educate yourself on the elements, the things that will make a good workout program. So what are the first things that an exercise plan should have? Well, number one, if you look into any plan, it should have equal amounts of weight training and cardio, or it should have more weight training than cardio. You know, I tell this story all the time, but all of my clients, every single one of them, they have a program that is about 2/3 weight training and 1/3 cardio. Now, I get probably 95% of my clients come in to lose fat. So I'm putting fat loss clients on 2/3 weight training and 1/3 cardio. Now, why is that? I can go into detail, but basically what it does is it increases your metabolism. The higher your metabolism is and the more muscle that you have, the more calories that your body's going to burn, which means the more fat you could potentially burn. So a good fat loss plan is going to have equal amounts of cardio and weight training, or it's going to have more weight training than cardio. So that's number one. Number two, it should have various forms and various styles of weight training. There's so many things out there. There's this cross-training stuff. There's powerlifting. There's bodybuilding training. There's marathon training. There's all kinds of training out there, and a lot of people don't know what's right for them. A lot of people have gotten caught up in the new era, the new fad of fitness, and that's like a CrossFit thing. And I'm not talking bad about CrossFit. I think CrossFit offers a lot of things. However, that is one form of training, and that's basically what that is. So a good exercise plan should have various forms of training. It should have a little bit about strength. It should have a little bit about endurance. It should have a little bit about muscular increase. It should have cross-training in there. It should have functional movements. It should have a little bit of everything, and it really depends on your goals. So it should have various forms of weight training and actually various forms of cardio. You don't want to just jump on the cardio deck and do 30 minutes all the time. That's extremely boring. It's extremely boring. So you want to make sure it has various forms of cardio, like interval training. Interval training, whether it's hills, whether it's interval training on a treadmill, doesn't matter. As long as it has various forms of cardio and various forms of weight training, that's what a good program is going to have. Also, a variety of exercises. How many of you there have actually said, I don't like to lift weights because it's boring? Well, chances are you're probably doing the same exercises over and over and over and over again. And yes, absolutely, it is boring to do the same exercises over again. So it should have a variety of exercises and not just doing the same things month after month after month after month. There's nothing wrong with doing the same exercises for an entire month if you're doing that particular program once a week. There's nothing wrong with doing exercises for an entire month, but after a month, your body should change. A lot of people don't know this. In about 4 to 6 weeks, your body adapts to an exercise program. Your sets, your reps, your exercises, and when it adapts to it, you're no longer seeing the results that you want. So you need to make sure that you're changing up your exercises so you can constantly see results. Now, the other thing that a good program, a good exercise plan should have is it should focus on everything, not just on one particular part of your body. I see so many exercise programs out there that say, oh, this is an ab program or this is a glute blasting program. And all it does is it targets one area of your body. Now, that's the way our brain thinks. Our brain sees our body and says, okay, what do we need to change? Well, I need to change the fat around my stomach, so I need an ab program. And that's actually not physiologically the way that you're going to get flatter abs. You know, a lot of people say, well, I want to, shape my butt and make it look round and tight, so I'm going to go follow a glute program. And that's actually not the way that you're going to do it either. It's a more complex process than that. So a good program knows that you should focus on every single part of your body, not just those areas that you think that you need. Okay? Now, this leads into my next point, is a good program should also focus on your needs, not just your wants. So go back to those ab and glute exercises. Yeah, I can give you ab and glute exercises, but I know better that that's not what's going to get you flat abs. That's not what's going to get you tighter glutes. So I know that there's a lot of other things that your body needs. And so I'm going to implement those things into your program. So make sure that you find a program that focuses on your needs, not just your wants. Now, one of the final things that a good program should have is it should be written and detailed and written out and planned out in months ahead of time. Okay, so if you don't know why you're doing a particular program, or you don't understand why you're following this plan today and this plan tomorrow, and every single time you go in, it's completely different, you don't understand why it's happening, then chances are you're probably not on a good program. I'll tell you this. I've been, in the gym industry for over 15 years, and I've been around a lot of trainers, and I've worked out at different gyms that I didn't work at. And one of the things that I noticed is that a lot of trainers do not plan out their programs for their clients. This is what they do. You walk into the gym and they're like, oh yeah, I've got Susie today. And then they write a list of exercises, and that's what you're going to do today. Now, that's if they even write it at all, because there's so many trainers who don't even write their programs down, and it's just all in their head, and then they take you through it. There's no plan, there's no design, there's no nothing. If you're going to get a house built, you don't want to just go up to a builder and say, okay, build me a house. And they're like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And they don't show you any plans. They don't even explain to you what they're going to do. They just say, okay, I'm going to build a house. And every day you're paying them money, but you don't know what they're doing. You don't know what the direction is. You don't know what their goal is. They're just doing it. That's the same way a lot of these trainers work. And that's why it's so important to make sure that your plan is written for at least a month in advance. I have so many people who come to me from these different cross-training type programs, and they'll do a different workout every single day. And they'll never do the same workout again. And they're like, oh, it's muscle confusion. And yes, there is some sense to that. But if you're constantly having to change the exercises every single time that you go in, and there's absolutely no direction on where you're going, and it's just a random exercises thrown on a sheet of paper or written up on a chalkboard as the workout of the day, where are you really going with that plan? What is that plan actually trying to get done with you? What is the goal? If you don't understand that, you're probably not on a good plan. So make sure that your plan is written out at least a month in advance. At least a month in advance. You shouldn't just find out the day that you go to the gym what you're doing. You should know in advance, and I can't harp on that enough. So a good exercise plan, I'll review these again. A good exercise plan should have equal amounts of weight training and cardio, or more weight training than cardio. It should also have various forms of weight training and various forms of cardio. So it could have cardio, could be interval training. It could be steady state training. It could be, high intensity interval training. Your weight training could be different types of cross training, functional movements, powerlifting movements, and also some bodybuilding type things where you're trying to increase your muscle. A good program should have a variety of exercises. Also, a program that is worth your time should focus on every part of your body, not just on the areas that you think you need, okay? Also, a good program should focus on your needs, not just your wants. And the last thing is the program should be written out and detailed for at least 1 month at a time, okay? So educate yourself on what every single good program should have. And if your exercise plan does not have these things and you can't identify it, then you're probably not on the right plan. So when you're out looking for the right type of program to follow, make sure that it has every single one of these things in that exercise plan. Okay, now let's move on to diet. Now, what are some things that a good diet should have? Well, first and foremost, a good diet plan should have you eating more whole foods versus boxed and processed foods. Okay, so do your shopping on the outside part of the grocery store. You got your vegetables, you got your fruits, you got your meat section. So do your shopping on the outside, and then you can work on the inside, because the inside of the grocery store is where all the processed foods are. So make sure that your the diet that you're thinking about following has you eating more whole foods versus boxed and processed foods. Okay. Also, a good diet plan is going to have you eating multiple times per day. Any good diet plan that I've ever seen has you eating a minimum of 4 times per day, and that includes snacks, okay? So 4, I've seen up to 8 times per day, just depending on what kind of plan it is. So a good plan is going to have you eating multiple times per day, because your body can only process so many calories at one time. So you need to make sure that you break it up in smaller quantities so your body can process those calories. If you eat a huge 1,000 calorie meal, well, your body's not going to be able to process all those things. So it can only process, we'll just say you're a normal person, about 500 of those calories. So the other 500 calories, your body just stores it, and it stores it as fat. So breaking it up in multiple meals throughout the day, one of the things it's going to do, it's going to allow your body to make sure that it processes everything and it uses everything, and nothing is stored as fat. So a good plan is going to have you eating multiple times per day. Okay, a good plan is also going to have you relying on whole foods versus supplements. A good plan will not have you relying on supplements so many times. You go to any of these online programs or any of these, these weekly meetings, and what do they have you do? They have you buy shakes, powders, bars, and say you have to have this in order for you to lose weight. And yes, those definitely can serve a role and lead you to eating better, but it should not have you relying on supplements as your major source of food. Supplements are just that, a supplement to an everyday good diet, not in replace of a good diet, but a supplement to the diet. That's where the word supplement comes from. Figure that. So a good diet plan should also include all categories of food, okay? This is a big topic, okay? If your diet plan says no carbs, don't follow it. If it says we're going to cut out your fat, don't follow it. A good diet should include all categories of foods, carbs, fats, proteins, vegetables. Fruits, all that. It should include every single one of those things because a carb has a particular function in the body that's necessary for brain function, it's necessary for muscle increase, and necessary for energy. Just to name 3 off the top of my head. Fats have the same thing. Fats are good for internal health, reducing your cholesterol, improving your HDLs, and lowering your bad cholesterol, your LDLs. So it also gives you energy, and proteins help you rebuild and repair tissue that you've broken down. If you're trying to gain muscle, you need to make sure that you're eating protein because it's going to help rebuild those muscles, but it's also going to help satisfy your hunger. So all these nutrients have a very specific role, and you need to make sure that it includes, a good diet plan is going to include every single one of those, carbs, fats, proteins, and vegetables, okay? Now, a good diet plan as well is also going to allow you to have 1 to 2 meals per week of your favorite foods. That means a good diet plan should not cut out pizza. It should not cut out cookies. It should not cut out hamburgers or whatever you feel your vice is. It should allow you to have those things in your food. Yes, I know that's shocking. I know you're probably sitting there like, what? If I follow a diet, I can eat my favorite foods? Absolutely. You absolutely should. The minute that you cut out the foods that you truly enjoy, and the foods that make you enjoy life is the minute that it becomes miserable. And the minute that it's only a matter of time before you get off that plan. Having your favorite foods and having those things that make you enjoy life is what life is really all about sometimes. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to go out and eat pizza every single day if that's what you do, but 1 to 2 meals per week of your favorite foods, there's nothing wrong with that. It's going to keep you sane. It reignites your metabolism, but it also keeps you from craving those things even more and more and more. A lot of people will go on 4 and 5 day binges because they went 3 weeks without anything bad whatsoever. So they'll binge for 3 or 4 or 5 days and basically negating everything they've done in those first 3 weeks. So make sure that a good plan is going to have at least 1 or 2 meals per week of your favorite foods. Now, any good program, any good diet program should also be a very gradual approach. You should not have to go from eating terrible and eating fast food every day to all of a sudden eating the most perfect way possible. It should not be like that. Yes, at the beginning, there is going to be definitely an adjustment period, and a period where you're going to have to figure out, okay, how I'm going to do this. How is this going to work for me? There should definitely be an adjustment period, but it should also, a good diet should also allow you to grow into it and have a very gradual approach and not try to cut out everything at one time and not give you any of your favorite meals. And you just have to go from eating like garbage or like trash to all of a sudden eating like one of these elite fitness models. No, it should not be like that. It should be a gradual approach. So let me repeat those. A good diet, a good diet program should have you eating more whole foods versus processed foods. It will have you eating multiple times per day, a minimum of 4 times. It's going to have you relying on whole foods versus supplements. You will not be relying on supplements. And it should include all categories of food, fat, protein, carbs. You should also be allowed 1 to 2 meals per week of your favorite foods, and then the program should be gradual and go into it. Now, whether it's an exercise program or whether it's a nutrition program, every program that you go and get, whether it's a trainer or whether it's an online program, the program should have these 2 things. Number 1, it should offer you the support that you need. I will promise you, there is going to be some point when following that plan that you will fail. I promise you that. Every single person that I work with fails at some point. I have a 100% failure rate, but I also have about a 90% success rate. What does that mean? That means that my clients will fail, but they will get back up and eventually succeed. Why is that? Because I'm there to support them through the process. So you need to make sure that any program that you follow will have a support system set in place. Whether you're working with the trainer, they're able to help you and work through those issues. Whether you're doing an online program, those are really hard to find. An online program that actually gives you support. Most online programs, they just give you a sheet of paper and say, go follow this, and then you're on your own. And when you fail, you just go look for another program. That's how most online programs work. So if you go to an online program, make sure you find one that has the support that you need. So when you fall down, they're able to pull you up and get you back on track again. Okay? But also, any good program, whether it's diet or exercise, it needs to be realistic. Okay, you can't go on this zero carb type diet and expect to follow it for the rest of your life. You can't do that. It's not realistic for you to eat no carbs for the rest of your life. So if you can't eat it for the rest of your life, then why would you even do it for one day? That quote comes from one of my mentors, Mr. Larry North. He says, if you can't follow a diet for the rest of your life, then it's not worth following for one day. And the same thing goes for an exercise plan. If you can't follow an exercise type plan for the rest of your life, then why do it? So many of us, especially in January, we're going to work out. And what do? We spend 2 hours, 3 hours in the gym. We neglect our families. We neglect our work. We do all these things. And yeah, we're feeling good and things are happening, but everything else around us is starting to slowly crumble. So what do? You say, oh man, I've got to start working a little harder. And then you miss a day at the gym. You work a little harder. You miss another day at the gym. And then next thing you know, 3 months later, I'm asking you, hey, what happened? You're like, oh, I just got busy with work and work got in the way. Well, maybe you tried too hard to do something that wasn't realistic. What is realistic for you to do? Maybe 30 minutes to an hour a day, and that's realistically what you can do. So that's the type of program that you should follow, is something that's going to be realistic. You shouldn't have to spend 3 hours in the gym. You shouldn't have to spend 7 days a week exercising. You shouldn't have to do that. You're following a diet plan, you shouldn't have to go on these crazy zero-carb diets or a 10-day juice cleanse for all these things. Those are too hard to do. Do something that's realistic. The quicker that you can get to something that's realistic, the faster you'll be able to adapt to it and adopt those things into your lifestyle, and the quicker you're going to be successful. So a good program should have all of those things, a good nutrition program, a good diet program, but you've got to go out and do your due diligence. You've got to do your research. Again, most people do not know what a good program should have. Chances are, when I said this, you probably are like, wow, I didn't know that a good program should have these things. Absolutely. Make sure that you know what every good program should have, and do your research, do your due diligence in learning and understanding the necessary elements that every single effective program is going to have when you follow it. Okay, so that's really the first step in overcoming failure and making sure that you have the right plan of action. Okay, do your due diligence. The second thing is find the right qualified help. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go out and hire a trainer. I'm not saying that, but that is one of the things. You can hire a trainer. You can hire a coach. Make sure you go and find the right online program. Again, as long as you look at those things that are absolutely necessary for a good program to have, now you can basically pre-qualify your trainer, or pre-qualify a coach, or pre-qualify a particular program. If you go through an online program and you're searching online for all these different online workout programs and they don't have these things, then just throw it away. Just put it to the side and move on to the next one until you find one that has all these things that I just explained. If you're talking to a trainer and you're interviewing trainers, yes, it's okay to interview trainers. If you're interviewing trainers, make sure that the trainer has all these things in place in his program. Make sure that he's not just writing the program whenever you walk in that day. Make sure he has a plan for you for months at a time, not just 5 minutes before you walk in, or you're doing the same workout that the client before you did. Make sure he has a plan that's specific to you. A lot of people don't know the difference between a trainer and a coach, okay? I'll make it really simple for you. A trainer is going to be there every single time that you go into the gym, okay? You go into the gym, trainer's there, they're working with you, they're counting your reps, they're making sure your form is good, all that good stuff. They're with you every single time. Now, the great thing about working with a trainer is it's kind of built-in accountability, right? You're accountable to somebody, so you have to show up, okay? And you have to go in and do it, and a lot of times they'll push you harder than you will push yourself. That's great. But when I was training full-time, when I was doing that way back in my younger years, what I told everybody is I eventually want you to work out on your own. And I don't want to train you for the rest of your life. I want to eventually teach you how to go on your own, because I don't want you to learn to rely on me and use me as a crutch. And the only reason you're coming in is because of me. Yeah, I enjoyed the money, great, but I can pick up another client. So I wanted to teach all my clients to eventually wean off on their own, and they eventually start working out by themselves, okay? So that's what a trainer does. A trainer is there every single time that you go in. A coach, on the other hand, a coach is a lot different. A coach will actually will write you a program, maybe even a diet if they're a certified nutritionist. They'll write you an exercise program. They'll write you a nutrition program. They will guide you. They will be there every single step of the way and support you without physically being there. And that's a lot of the stuff that I do now is I coach people. I don't do any personal training whatsoever, because I found that my time is much more effective working with people as a coach versus working with people as a trainer. Now, when I was a trainer, I had about a 30% success rate. I know that sounds really low, but I was one of the highest in my gyms. 30% of the clients that came in and saw me saw incredible results. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but most trainers have about a 5 to 10% success rate. I know that sounds really bad, but that's really the truth of it. Most trainers have a 5 to 10% success rate, where I had a 30% success rate as a trainer. The minute I moved to being a coach and teaching my clients to learn to rely on themselves, teach them how to work through their own problems, where now they have to believe in themselves, they have to learn themselves how to do it, my success rate went from 30 to 90%. It was absolutely incredible. So a coach, in my opinion, is a lot more valuable than what a trainer is. A coach has been there and done that and knows exactly how to break through the mental barriers that somebody has, knows exactly what to say, how to set up a program, and how to guide that person so they can make their own decisions, and you're not, as a coach, you're not making decisions for that person. So that's the difference between a coach and a trainer if you're not sure what it is. So, again, make sure that you're looking for the right qualified help. Every program out there is going to claim that it's going to be the best program in the world. Everything claims to see results. So if all you do is you have one, requirement for a program is that it's supposed to give you good results, then every program that you look at is going to say that. Of course, that's what it's supposed to do. But again, go back to the elements that are absolutely necessary. And the reason why I say look for qualified help, consider hiring a coach, consider hiring a trainer, or purchase an online program. I would honestly just suggest that you stay away from the free programs. It's free for a reason, guys. There's no bones about it. It's free for a reason. You pay nothing, so guess what you're going to get out of it? Probably nothing. So stay away from the free stuff. Yeah, it's great if you just want something just to get started for the next week. But if you want something more long-term, you're going to have to make a small investment. And I would strongly suggest that you hire a coach, hire a trainer. Just find that qualified help that has all those elements that I talk about. What a lot of people do is they tend to pick a person based on how they look. They'll hire a trainer because it's the best looking trainer in the gym, or they'll buy an online program because a fitness model says this is what I do. Okay, the truth is that fitness model probably doesn't even do that program. They're just able to put some exercises together, and now you're buying it because of that. That fitness model was successful in fitness modeling. They weren't successful in creating and writing programs for people. They were successful at fitness modeling. Okay. Now, I could sit here and I could put on a lab coat and I could put on a stethoscope and I could do all that. And I could probably trick people into thinking that I'm a doctor and that I could do surgery on them. But where are my qualifications? Where is my, medical school degree? Where did I do my internship? Where do I do my residency? Where is all that? And that a lot of times these people online, they are literally just a pretty face. They are literally just people who look the part but really don't have any education. They don't have any knowledge behind it. A lot of people go hire professional bodybuilders to write their program. But what does that bodybuilder actually really know about every type of body style besides a bodybuilder body type? So make sure it's extremely important that don't just go for somebody because of the way they look or because of their resume in another avenue, okay? You should look for somebody's resume and somebody's testimonials in how they develop programs for people, not in what they can do for themselves, but how they can actually affect other people. It doesn't matter what I can do for myself. It doesn't matter if I can run a 5-minute mile. What matters is, can I teach you how to run a 5-minute mile? And that is a good program. That is a good coach. That is a good trainer that can teach you how to do it. So make sure you're not just picking a person based on how they look or because of their successful modeling career or they're a professional bodybuilder. Make sure you know what that person does and their testimonials, in a sense, and what they do for clients. But, I say, like, when you go out and you buy a car, this is very similar to buying a car. Okay, when you're going out trying to find a program, you got to know all the things that are absolutely necessary in a program, right? We already went over that. But the other, it's like when you go buy a car, you need to know what things are absolutely important for you to have in a car: power steering, power windows, maybe even navigation, automatic transmission, tinted windows, whatever is important to you that you absolutely necessarily need to have in buying a car. You need to know those things. You don't just go buy a car and you just spend $25,000 without doing any kind of research, without knowing what a good car should have and what a bad car should have. You don't know any of that stuff. So nobody ever does that. And if you did do that, if you're one of the few people that actually went out and bought a car, chances are you probably paid too much for it and you're regretting everything about it. So just like going out and buy a car, you got to do your research on these programs and on these trainers and on these coaches. Go out and look at it. What do you do? Now that you know the elements and you've kind of broken down 4 or 5 programs that could possibly fit your profile, go look at their reviews. Go look at what other people are saying about them, not just what they're saying about themselves, okay? Go look at their testimonials. What's on their website? Yeah, it's going to look great and things like that, but what do the testimonials say? The reviews are really a big thing for me because it's what other people say unprovoked. They just go and say it, okay? But the most important thing when you're trying to see if a program really works, when you're trying to go out there and find that qualified help, I would say probably one of the most important things that you could do is speak to the person that created that program. That is powerful. Speak to the person that created that program. If it's an online program, speak to the person that created that program. Are you speaking to that person, or are you just speaking to some, customer service rep? Speak to the person that created that program and see how they make you feel. Does that person make you believe in the plan? Does that person make you feel uplifted, like you can do it? Does that person motivate you to go out and do it? Okay, so you already know the elements. You know what you need to do. Now go find the qualified help. Again, find qualified help based on the reviews, based on the elements that I told you. But look at the reviews. Look at their testimonials. Don't just go based on how that person looks or what they accomplished in an entirely different industry. Okay, so this is what you really absolutely need in order to overcome failure and have the right plan of action. Now, a lot of you are probably sitting back and saying, is this absolutely necessary? Is this something I really need to do in order to, find the right plan of action? Absolutely. Chances are you didn't do this in the past. You didn't go out and do your research. That's why you failed to begin with. So why? If you failed in the past, why would you do the same thing again and make your decisions the exact same way? Why would you do that? Don't do that. Be smarter than that. Educate yourself on the elements, and they're all listed. They're all right there. Make sure that every single program has all those elements that I listed. Do your research. Make sure you find it. Now, guys, I hope you really were able to get a lot out of it. I know today I probably taught you a lot of stuff on what things are absolutely important for every single program to have. And like I said, I could sit here and tell you about my program. I can sit here and tell you about how wonderful and awesome the iFit Model program is. But that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is educate you so you can go out and make that decision for yourself. And if you do all your research and you think that the iFit Model program is the best thing for you, then that's what I want. But if you go out and you say, man, you know what? I found this other program, and that program is actually what's better for me, then go do that. Because at the end of the day, I want you to make sure that you're educated, you know what a good program should have, and that you believe in it. And that's when a program works, is when you believe in it. So again, I want you to know what you need to do. And I hope now you have a better understanding of how to have the right plan of action and how to actually go about finding the right plan that works for you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to wrap up our show today. I hope you've enjoyed the second phase of Overcoming Failure, a plan of action. Now, I want to make sure that you tune in to our third phase of this process of overcoming failure, which is called the mental game. This is the section that everybody thinks that they need at the very beginning, but there's a reason why this is phase number 3. So it's going to be an absolute incredible episode. You don't want to miss it. Now, make sure you continue to follow me on Facebook at iFitModel. Send me an email at info@iFitModel. Let me know whatever questions you have about this podcast. Go to the website, ifitmodel.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fantastic show. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.